Hello, hello, hello. We have Chani on the call. Hello, Chani. How are you doing?
Hi. Good, thanks. You?
Good. Welcome back. I had to
Thank you.
say, we started this journey probably a year ago, and you were the first one who started the journey with us. You were in the
Yeah.
you were in the very first podcast, and you are in the very first podcast for the starting of the year now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
It's
much
a
for
good
having me.
tradition.
Yeah, it's good to be back. And I've always joined your calls whenever I have time, so I enjoy them. And yeah.
Do you wanna give a little bit of background of yourself, and then I introduce myself, and then we crack on?
Yeah. So my name is Chani Sims, and I currently have about 3 hats. So that's the 3 jobs I do. So my main job is I'm the managing director for Meta Defense Labs UK and Sri Lanka. So we serve clients around Europe and also Southeast Asia. And we are a small startup and mainly around doing pen testing, virtual CISO, cybersecurity services. Then the second one is that I also work as a consultant. So that means I'm auditor, cyber essentials auditor, as well as IASME, ISO27001. And I also do virtual CISO. So I consult to UK public sector, private sector, and also now in Sri Lanka as well. So doing some work around that and GDPR. And the third one is the CISO. I'm the founder of CISOExec platform, which is an open give back platform to get more people into cybersecurity and train them to be emotionally intelligent cybersecurity leaders. So that's our vision, and it's created to bridge the cybersecurity skill gap, diversity, and leadership gap. And we focus on a lot of soft skills within the individuals. That's pretty much about me. I've been in the
How the
industry.
keynote
Sorry.
speaker?
Oh yeah. So
The other hats you have is the keynote speaker.
yeah, you should just go on my LinkedIn and see what I've done. I can't forget. Remember this. So I was also so I'm currently in Sri Lanka. You probably hear dogs and all sorts of noises, so just ignore me.
Don't worry, I'll edit the audio afterwards.
Okay, cool. That's good. And so I also do talking, public speaking, and my recent talk, I did a TEDx talk recently in December for TEDx Leicester. It's now published. That was kind of my biggest challenge for that quarter because it was really emotional and I felt really vulnerable and a lot of personal stuff I had to share. But I thought if it changes someone or if it changes somebody's views on cybersecurity and how they think of themselves, and I thought it would be worth it. So so I did that finally. It was a journey actually because I had 4 weeks to prepare. Normally, you get months to prepare for these kind of things and research your words and everything. I only had 3 weeks and chose a topic and then wrote 1,800 words, about 15 slides, researched every word I had to say, sent it around the team, and they did their edits and all that, and got it approved. And on the day of the rehearsal, just day before the talk, then the logistics didn't fit right, and then I can't multitask, right? So the whole the clicker, I had to hold it in my left hand, and then I had to point it on the laptop to get the screens, and I can't look back because the screens. It was just like too much stuff, and I thought, oh my god! And every
on the video
trial,
you look amazing.
Pardon?
In the video it looks like so natural, so amazing.
That's because I ditched all of it, right? So so I had to I tried the few trials, and everyone I was messing it up, and I would talk and then the slide's not there, or the slide's there, I would talk something else. So it was just like a disaster, and I was so upset. I went into my room. And I thought, this is not working. And then even the team was like, Chani, you talk just without anything, just do your talk. So I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? So I had to ditch that whole talk, which I will do some other day in some event. So I took the important elements of that talk, and then I thought, okay, I'm just going to talk without any slides or anything. And so I prepared, and I did the talk in front of my mom, Clive, and Jackie, and they were like, yeah, this is better. And, I talk natural. So was up till about 3 o'clock at night writing what I was talking, right? Because it's like a whole brand new talk now. And got up at 6, and then I just practiced again once, and my talk was at 11 or something, and I just went and stalked. I was praying to go, thinking, oh my God, hope I don't screw up, and
That attracts a good energy. It looked amazing.
Yeah.
It looked
Thank
amazing.
you.
It looked so natural, and I think that's a hidden part that people don't see, all the preparation. And I try to share here and there the preparation of my talks as well. And people don't see how much hard work is behind each one of the talks.
Especially when it's emotional. I was trying not to cry and hold on to things.
Yeah.
It was
like managing emotion, preparing the material, getting on stage, being terrified, jumping off stage, not being sick.
Because it was recording live, and they were showing it on YouTube as well. So you can't really mess things around. And but I'm so glad that normally I don't prepare too much for my talks. I do the writing, everything, but in terms of practicing, I just if I have time, I'll go and do it. But this one, I didn't have any time to practice or anything. It's just like written on the day. And I'm so glad. I think it's one of the talks that I don't regret, because my only fear was that, am I going to regret in 5 years time or 10 years time or 15 years time when I look back and say, look, this is my TEDx talk. And I'm so proud that that I did it, and then I don't regret it. At the moment, I don't regret, because I didn't miss anything I wanted to say. So I hope I got the message, at least a few people, because there were quite a few messages embedded into that. And yeah, so it was challenging, but it was such a great experience last year.
It's amazing, and I love any kind of talk that can empower women in getting more involved in our field. I'm all up for it.
Yeah, and the best. Sorry, go on.
No. That's it. It's like, I'm really proud of you.
The best part was, I've had, since last week, it's only been out for a week now, I've had quite a few people come to me saying that they inspired them and they want to change and they want to come into cybersecurity. Even today, I had like one lady who was chatting to me saying, how do I get into cybersecurity? Can you help me out? And I want to do MSc in cybersecurity. All these things is good. And then the saddened part was, I got 2 ladies, young ladies, come to me and they were crying on the phone because they're going through the same shit that we've gone through in the past.
What do you mean?
And they've been bullied. They're getting bullied at work, and because they're women and they're young. And one of them is the girl who actually I talk about on the talk. And that just, I was so fuming. I'm still fuming because she's found a job now, and last week she's got this new job manager, and he's treating her like that she does not belong. He wants her out of the job because he can bring in all his people, probably. I don't know, but she's very upset. And
well, I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't make it in terms of a gender, because that's the challenge that we ultimately face. I know the woman has a particular thing, but also men.
I don't think it's a woman problem. I think it's a human problem.
Yeah,
because men are suffering too. I've had so many men also come back saying, they have a boss who just sucks the life out of them. So they just put on a brave face and keep quiet about it. But I think it's a human problem.
Yeah. But it's getting better. It's getting better. I mean, with the whole mental.
Is it? I don't know. I mean,
At least the problem is surfacing right now. Before, I think there was kind of a stigma of people not talking about it. Right now, I see a lot of initiative, at least talking about mental health, regardless of the gender, is not seeing anymore as, a weak thing to do, but discuss about your problem, discuss about how you feel about certain things. Don't overdo it, but I think it's getting more visible, if anything.
it is getting better. People are getting more aware of it, and but there's still a lot of problems. I mean, I'm so glad that a lot of people are open to give back now. They're doing these initiatives and sharing knowledge with communities. And now after she's watched my talk, she's like saying, "I'm not going to give up," and she's going to fight for her,
That's the right
case.
approach.
Yeah. So she's getting the right advice now. So it's good. But we shouldn't be. I mean, we talk about how do we retain talent, right? If you're treating that younger people like that, how are we ever going to change, the cultures? People are going to move on.
It's a culture change, and ultimately you are getting surrounded by the people that you want.
Mm.
So you're gonna have that in any kind of environment. I think the more we speak about it, the more people will feel comfortable in kind of tackling that problem, and they don't feel like isolated. They feel there is a community that support them, and during the meetup we can talk about this kind of stuff, mental health and subjects, so people know, if anything, even just to vent their frustration, and that could be a massive help, saying you're not alone.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many people joining CISO community because they've gone through that, and it's great because we're giving that support. And when you're part of a big community, it helps a lot because you realize you're not the only person, and you don't have to suffer alone because there's people who wants to help. And I always say, your sanity is more important than your salary.
Yeah.
You're in a place where you're being drained and mentally, bullied and going through so much mental stress. Just get out. I mean, there's enough companies around the world who would want you, and build your self-esteem, build self-confidence.
Having that comparison with other people that have done that leap, or they've taken the brave step, encourage people to feel comfortable and confident that there is that problem out there, and people have tackled it in different ways, and they feel supported by the decision. It's like they're not alone. I think
No, they're not alone. I mean, we've all had to work with lunatics at some point in our lives, right?
Not mentioning names.
No, I'm not mentioning names. I've had enough lunatics, and I'm like, enough.
I think that's
I'm not going to put up with that. Yeah, it is human nature, and it doesn't matter which country you live in; it's everywhere. So, I mean, I talk about this in UK, and I come here, and it's just even worse sometimes. It's like girls come in. There's only a few girls even work here in security. Even they're going through this. The sad part is they're still young, and is that the message we want to give to the younger generation? Because if we want to create better societies, communities, and if you start behaving like cavemen and cavewomen, what's the message you're gonna give?
No, but I guess on Ivano's message, I guess is let's try to be positive. Let's focus on the positive, that there is community out there. There is CISO, there are meetups, there is Meetup for Women, there is OWASPIA, Ladies of London Hacking Society. There are tons. We just started InfoSec Girls. There are tons of group that help women getting in cyber and starting in this journey, or even just feeling supported, or learning new skills to actually jump on a different job. So I think is better.
Yeah, I think we need to look at building self-esteem, because man or a woman, I think it's where the problems begin. When you have very low self-esteem, that means you have very low confidence. And that's where a lot of people, deal with things differently and create that negative culture. Because I always say, even when someone addresses a problem, people tend to take things personally, even it's not their fault, because of low self-esteem and confidence. And if we can empower people to, build self-esteem, build confidence, then things could change. Where I've seen a lot of the times examples is that you go into, for example, I had one time I was hired as a consultant, where my job was to go and review things and pick on problems and, highlight those things. But sometimes when you do that kind of thing, people tend to forget that it's workplace and they take things personally and they try and attack you for, doing that
Especially
bit of work.
especially if you come as an external, you're seen as a threat.
Yeah,
there is
exactly
that
that.
challenging professional, especially if you come in and audit you as like building the culture of safetyness of saying like there is a problem, let's fix it instead of blaming factor. But then being an external consultant, you just come in and assess and audit and trying to solve a problem that it's very much 90% of what we do. And I think I feel exactly the same, is people management.
Yeah,
and
and
trying to
also,
soften the blow and trying to address the message in the best way, in the most positive way that it can be perceived in a good way, and not getting attacked all the time, because as auditor external consultant, we see it as an external threat sometimes.
yeah, and also there is element of being mindful, emotional intelligence. If you can understand your own emotions, if you're aware of your emotions, then you can react better to other people's emotions and communicate better. So a lot of things like self-awareness, assertiveness, communication, all that comes into, and those are some of the soft skills us techies don't have always. And
We
that's
never
where,
have, because even entrepreneurs, like, we going through the journey of managing our own expectation, emotion, downfall, and being resilient, but nobody teaches this stuff.
no, I mean, you learn by example. I mean, I can remember one time I was taken into a room and was blasted by this lady. She was very upset, and I didn't know what I've done wrong. And it turned out that I reviewed her security policy, and I emailed it the my feedback because I created the audit trail. She was very upset with me, and I didn't react because I knew, okay, there's someone's really obviously upset, and I was, if I had, freaked out, thinking, what the hell are you talking about, and that would have gone in a different direction. But I kind of,
Hearing them out and letting them vent, and then making them feel that they're listened to and you're not attacking them, is soft skill, as you just said, is soft skill.
yeah. So that kind of, I mean, that's just one example. I mean, there's so many other areas where we could develop our soft skills, especially being mindful. And it's very hard. I mean, I've had so many occasions where I would freak out for things and, get upset or get angry. But then you realize, actually, it's you, the problem, right? Because it's how
It
you
doesn't
think.
affect you. It doesn't
Yeah.
affect you. It just
And
let it flow, and let it flow over you instead of let it affect you.
yeah. So no matter how skilled you are in terms of technical skills, if you don't have that soft skills, it can be a very challenging journey.
I will actually say it's more important to have the soft skill than the technical skill, because
Yeah.
you can be you can be as excellent as you want to be, but if it doesn't comes out in the way you speak, the way you write, the way you address people, you're always overlooked.
Yeah.
And I think Daniel Carnegie pointed this one out when he wrote Influence People and Winning Friend Over. I don't remember exactly the book name, but he mentioned that people that ultimately ended up earning the most is the people that manage people the most. It's like the one that excel in both technical but most important people skill. So ultimately, it's delivering that message, is delivering the key things, and going back and circling back to the TED speaker, any kind of speaking. That's a fundamental part of it.
Yeah.
Managing
I mean,
your own
it's
emotion.
all about people and managing your emotions, I think, but not be emotional in that process. But
How do you go through that? I wouldn't say managing emotion, but no, dealing with emotion. What are your key tricks, if you
well,
can?
mindfulness is one thing. So whenever I get upset, I try to look at, what is the physical evidence, like my heart rate going fast, or I'm like, I want to punch the person, whatever. I don't do that. Just
Don't
joking.
punch people.
But yeah, just joking. But things like that, and I know, okay, this is not normal, and then I realize, okay, what's happening, and I just try to understand what is happening within me, and see, how can I manage that? Can I control it? And also then look at what's the other person doing, and trying to understand where they're coming from, and try and acknowledge that they're also going through a process, they're being upset or angry or whatever, and try and calm the situation down, not react to it immediately if I can. And but it's requires a lot of practice, and also skill learning. So when I first started investing myself in emotional intelligence, one of the reasons I wanted to do that was I felt that I had the struggle when I first started my business, where I didn't know how to talk tech to business. That was one of my biggest challenges. I would go and talk lots of jargon, and then the business people are like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So
Oh, that's a
so
killer.
yeah. So I
That's a
needed
killer when
to understand.
you
Yeah.
need to
So
summarize.
train
That's one of
myself.
my problems. One of
Yeah.
my problems
So
being Italian and just talk and talk and
yeah.
talk.
So how I would tackle is I would imagine them as 5-year-old kid and try and explain that to a 5-year-old kid. So I had to train myself to do that. And I don't know if I'm still good at it, but that's kind of the approach I took. And I also
You never get good at it. You just improve and
yeah.
improve and improve. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I think one topic that I want to discuss is probably the vCISO, because that's a new role that is coming up, and I've been vCISOing around a few clients. But how do you become a vCISO? What does it mean?
I don't know.
vCISO?
I was auditor before. So for me, virtual CISO is I'm taking them through a journey of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more like getting a structure in place. So this is especially for the one I do, especially for companies who hasn't got good security. Some of them doesn't even have a security policy when they started. And then taking them through that journey of how do you build your team, how do you change your culture to be more security aware, more privacy aware, and that. So I got a friend here. I'll show you. Here's the naughty rascal making
Oh,
noises.
sweet.
Yeah.
You want to
So
be on the podcast as well.
yeah. Hi, Teddy. So it's pretty much how do you create that culture, support, and also the governance, and also um, improving their maturity model. So eventually they are more resilient and they know how to handle a cyber attack. How to continue business with that, and how to learn from it and grow from that. So I normally engage with clients with a gap assessment, so I can understand their posture.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go and conduct a gap assessment, and then find out from their people, process, technology, all areas, and their privacy elements as well. And from that, then I get a good understanding of what the culture is, what the management thinks, and how people are behaving. All these things I get a good understanding. Then I have designed a program where they go through certain stages, and that would be including getting certified. Like first you get your cyber essentials,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe IASME and privacy side of things, then ISO27001, and also building capability within teams, vulnerability
Let's
management.
remind everybody that certification compliance doesn't mean security.
No, exactly. So some companies just go through compliance just to tick that box.
Or
So this is why
contractual.
yeah, exactly. That's why you need that cultural transformation. You don't you make sure that you apply those correct controls correctly, and you know how to manage your connected devices, the people, process. You have a process around your technology, all that. And so it's a journey. Some companies can it can take longer. It can it's how they do things. And I always get the management involved. Leadership is key, because if the leadership buy-in is not there, nothing down the line really matters, because you know then it doesn't get, you don't get the right funding. Yeah, exactly.
Top-down
you need
approach is still the right approach.
Yeah. So the clients I've gone through, they're more medium-sized clients that I've got now, which I'm doing the virtual CISO for. And so some of them started with one person joining me on the call saying, okay, how do we start this? And
That's
now they've
start.
gone through, so no security policy or anything. But over the months, now they got their IT teams trained to, if something goes wrong, how to handle incidents. Their security teams are trained. They got a CISO, they got a DPO. So the team grew as we, build their security posture. Yeah, so
at least you got traction.
Yeah, so we have a structure, because I don't want people to go through and say, look, I'm the VC, so you do what I say, ask you to do. But it's going through that structure. We have a program of going through different maturity levels. And I'm loving it, because every time it's a different customer, different client. And I get to learn about their culture as well, understand how things work. And some of the companies, they have offices in Australia, UK, and Sri Lanka, and some of them UK, India. So they work in completely different,
the people
ways.
aspect back again, and the culture of sharing and the culture of admitting failure. I've seen that in different locations is treated as everybody has a very different approach on how to treat an audit, or how to treat maturity metrics or maturity models.
Yeah.
So like how do you use the maturity model, and how it is perceived?
And also like basic cyber hygiene. Even there's like, I've had big companies who doesn't even have the basic cyber hygiene, but they have like this big, expensive security technology gadgets and things like that.
And the ISO27001 compliant.
Yeah, but to their data center or the IT cabinet, exactly, but not for the whole company.
I've actually seen one room being ISO27001 for a company. Nobody actually even mentioned.
Really?
Yeah. You can pass anything if you have the right or the wrong auditor.
But I didn't think the broom. I mean, I would
the broom closet, but it's like part of the company that didn't have any IT, so not even data center.
Oh yeah, I've seen that as well. So where like they would have their
office is ISO27001. It's like you don't keep anything in the office. It's like you have people, so eventually you certified a couple of processes, and that you have a backup strategy for people. But and that's the whole thing about compliance is not security.
Yeah. So I always highlight the importance of going through cyber hygiene, and also vulnerability management. If you don't have proper vulnerability management programs as well, then how are you managing your vulnerabilities? How do you grow from that kind of thing? Yeah. So and
how do
also,
you involve the risk and compliance and the rest of the management team on recognizing the risk and adopt the culture of risk acceptance without understanding the impact? There's a big transformation I'm going through right now as well.
Creating different portfolios, your operations side, your risk, GRC, compliance, all that. How do you separate, cross-train people or train new hires, things like that. So yeah, it's taking them through that journey. And when I first started, I was never the one who would like to do one CISO job, because I thought it would be very challenging. For me, I would never take on a job like that, because first, I don't have the experience to be like a CISO for a bigger company yet. And
you tend to burn out.
Yeah, you get burnout, and
there's a lot of responsibility as well.
Yeah, so that's why I started with small to medium companies, and like most of my clients are SMB type clients for virtual CISO, and that helped me, because looking back, they started with nothing, but now they're gone through, matured, and everyone's aware. I mean, the moment I go in, they know who I am, because they're going through that painful process of, okay, Chani said to do this. It's like
they gone through from kindergarten to primary school.
Yeah, it's fun, and some people come and even tell me like, I'm talking like you now. Everywhere I go, I ask questions when they collect my data.
I don't know if that's a positive or a negative thing.
I think it's a positive thing. You should always ask questions. So it's very satisfying. Yeah, I really love what I do.
Good, you're leaving the mark. You're leaving a good mark.
Thanks. Yeah. Any other questions you want to ask?
So we talk about the vCISO, the very high level, but if you mentioned people want to start getting in cyber, want to start getting in cyber, well, I want to mention a few forums that we have so that people know where to go, and I share the links in the video when I share the podcast. But most important, how do you start in cyber? So what are the paths that you have available? What is the one that you're comfortable sharing, where you grow and evolve? And then I share my view.
I think for me, it's curiosity. Am I being hacked? Am I protected? Where's my data? All these things has to start within. You need to understand, the mobile device. This is probably the most powerful device, and it's a whole life out there, right? Who's protecting it? Are we protected? And who's watching us? Is anybody watching us? Things like that. I always think that I'm being hacked, and you become
always assume the worst.
Yeah,
that's the key thing. Is like you become paranoid. Is a perk of the job.
Yeah. So, and I try to question a lot of the things I see. So if someone has that curiosity and wanting to learn, the passion also, then you can start anywhere, really. I mean, there are a lot of platforms. vCISO is one of the platforms where you can, get in. But I think the internet is out there. There's so many free content out there that if one wants to learn, they can start with YouTube, for example.
I think it's getting overwhelming. I mean, there is so much free content that if you want to, I have a lot of people ask me, okay, where do I start? There is so much stuff. Do I start on the infrastructure side? Do I start on the cloud because now cloud is cool? Do I start on pen testing?
Those people have at least got to that stage. They know what cloud and infrastructure is, right? For someone who's really new, like let's say, take for someone like coming from accounting background, had no experience in cybersecurity, or a student, where do they start? I think internet is the first place to start, because there's so much to learn and research on about. I mean, nowadays we're used to Googling everything, right? So have you done that part? If someone has not even done that part, then I don't think they're interested, to be honest, because
it can be overwhelming. So I tend to hit with a lot of people that are overwhelmed. It's like, where do I start? Really, where do I start?
Yeah, I mean, look at something like, say, for example, if you want to start painting, what would you do?
You Google how to start painting, how to paint.
Right. So, and then what kind of painting is out there, and what kind of different styles of art and painting. So it's a similar thing, right? I mean, I can remember when I came to UK, I didn't even know how to make a cup of tea, or even cook.
That's a crime.
Yeah.
If you don't, not being able to cook in UK is fine, but not being able to make a cup of tea, that's a crime.
So I got to a point like I'm starving, and I had to start from somewhere. So I started Googling, how to do things, how to cook stuff. So I learned, and I'm probably one of the best cooks. Ask my husband. I can really cook well, and I can make lots of nice cakes. I learned all from YouTube, just watching YouTube, and I got really good at things and decorations. So it's just like that. Cybersecurity is not any different. How do you protect yourself from different threats? You're clever enough not to put your child out there for people to come and touch them. You have all your jewelry and all the assets hidden inside your house somewhere. You have different layers of putting physical security. You have the best locks you can get, the gate, the dogs, the guards, whatever, right? So thinking about how do you apply that in digital life?
Even though your dog doesn't look like much of a security dog. It doesn't like security.
No, it's not. It's just common sense, right?
Yes.
And thinking about how can you be protected, because your life, your data is out there, and companies now can even tell how depressed you are by just looking at how you type or how you move your
But
cursor around.
you can't avoid that without going full paranoid. I think there is a threshold that you need to have for going full tinfoil hat, paranoid, closed in a room, and everything is disconnected. In order to use the tool that you have available right now, you had to compromise on data, that your data is going to be out there. And as you said previously, assume breach.
Yeah, breach or just getting robbed. Once you get robbed, okay, next time I'm not going to carry my wallet in the bag. I should put it in there. So it's like,
or maybe check every now and then.
yeah. So and it's the same thing. What happens if your bank credit card gets stolen? Someone took a loan out of your name, things like that, and it happens to every one of us nowadays, and it's common thing. So it's
Assume
just that
breach.
curious. Yeah. So assuming that and then taking precautions. So one step at a time. So that's why it has to start within, with you. If you are not taking it seriously, you can't go and preach other people, you need to do these things. And also your family, And I'm so against when people go and put their children's pictures online. I just don't know why they do it, because they have no right to put your
No
child's
consent.
picture. Yeah, exactly. And that kind of things that you need to think before you act. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What is the purpose of what are you trying to achieve? Things like that.
Awareness is getting better, though. People don't share passwords. Well, sometimes they do. I just delete mine from the
Yeah.
whiteboard when you do on video and stuff like that. But
I mean, it's the
people are
stuff that
getting more aware.
we learn at when you were kids. Your parents don't eat things. If a stranger gives you sweets and things, don't talk to
If
strangers,
a stranger
or don't.
sends you a file, don't
Yeah. So
don't
why
accept
not
files
be
from strangers.
exactly? Why do you click on that attachment? Why do you click on the link if you don't know the person?
Because there is no culture, so there is no education in terms of this thing. Maybe it's getting better right now. There is a lot of organization that does teaching. Dr. Jessica Parker is doing a lot of this activity with. I don't remember when was the last one, but she does a lot of this awareness for school and kids. I think you should get a little bit better at basic cybersecurity hygiene. It's like how you keep your password, what kind of information you share online, how do you not trust people online? Because we naturally trustworthy people. It's like people trust each other by nature.
Yeah.
And that's the opposite thing about security. But it is getting, from my perspective, it's talking more about it. It's getting more public without demystifying and going all paranoid. Because that's the drawback of it.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we're all going to get hacked. It's just we don't know when, and it's taking that precautions, little things, and even for some people think, I'm not in cybersecurity. I don't want technical stuff. I don't like technology, but you can't do that, and you need to have some kind of understanding of what kind of tech is around you. Starting from your phone. Using a phone. Are you using, like the other day we were doing a test to see what phones are vulnerable for Bluetooth attacks. And it was a vulnerability that has come out like years ago, and there were still phones coming up with
Same vulnerability.
issues with Bluebone attacks. Yeah, so things like that. When you're buying a phone, you have to look at, is it supported still? Where is it coming from? Is it a fake phone or is it an original phone? Does it get patched often? And what kind of controls are you going to put in to make sure that data is safe? Little things, starting at home. I think I don't encourage people to say, yes, you have to be the hacker straight away, right? It's just little common sense, that you need to, little step at a time, that you need to look at, and not think security is rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's just applying all those practical things and common sense into your life, and taking one step at a time. But for someone who wants to really get into security, they always find a way.
So if you boil it down to one, it's like be distrustful and ask questions.
Yeah, you should operate on zero trust.
Zero trust people, zero trust network, zero trust phone, zero trust anything, zero trust dog.
Yeah. I mean, I may be wrong, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't think a lot of people have, there might be people who wouldn't agree with that, but it's just finding what makes you comfortable, because you can't really trust anyone 100%. And it's
No,
not
it's true.
because people are untrustworthy, but because people can do stupid things, right, without knowing. And so that's why you have to always be cautious and
Second
watch
question,
out.
I think.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've run almost to the end of it. Unless there is any other question that we can actually ask without being banned from YouTube.
I'll pass.
Sorry, I didn't get that. What she said?
No, I'll tell you later.
I said I'll pass. Twitter,
Okay.
Twitter drama. What about Twitter drama?
No,
okay, don't get me
we
there.
can't talk about Twitter drama. I personally banned that topic from this Mentoring Monday.
Yeah, I still don't know how to operate Twitter, so I just too much.
It just goes in cycle. The drama goes in cycle. I had my
Yeah.
fair share of it. Other people close to me had their fair share of it. It's like, I think it's a party's bias. Like if you say, it goes back to actually saying something that somebody could feel it affect them personally, and then it's again managing people. It's again the skill. It's like managing people, managing emotion. And I had to say, to be fair, right now, nowadays on social media, you always have to be positive and nice. You can't take position, because I think it's really hard to take position on anything.
I think constructive criticism is not bad, and you should always, there's this saying: if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
Yeah.
And being constructive is a different way, but I don't believe in calling out on people or anything like that, because sometimes if there's a conflict or disagreement, I think it's best to take it outside of social media and have a talk, chat.
No, I agree.
Understand. Yeah.
I agree. It's like shouting at a person in public in the middle of a room. You're gonna get the worst possible reaction from that person or that group of person ever. So
because we always have to understand people come from different backgrounds, different cultures, and the way they think is different. And we always have to check the evidence and the facts as well, before we say something or make an assumption of someone. We always have to think, are we making the right decision? Have we given a fair chance for that person? So that kind of thing, I think, is important. And social media can break you, or I don't know, it's just
elevator breaks you from a day to another.
Yeah, it can get really unpleasant, and end of the day, you're the one who can suffer. So is it worth taking that risk, or just leaving it? It's also
we're human beings. I think we all make mistakes. We all learn from our mistake, and I think that's the important of it.
Yeah.
And the best advice I can give to everybody: don't think that because you're behind the keyboard you've sheltered. Is actually the opposite.
Yeah, true, very true. I mean, you learn from your mistakes, and that's kind of the best thing you can do.
Yeah, think as if you're in a big room full of people and you need to address them collectively, or you have to address one person individually. Here you go. Social media management skills. Another element to teach in your CSAUK&I.
Yeah, we talk about a lot around emotional intelligence side of things, and branding and building eminence as well. So one of my favorite topics, I think. More than branding, I like building eminence. Adding value to the communities and your teams and society. I think that's how we should go on about, and also having good ethics and values.
Nice, a nice, good, positive message at the end. And I think unfortunately we reached the end of it. So New
Sure.
beginning of the year. Chani, you've been the first guest, despite
Thank
the technical
you.
difficulties and dogs.
Sorry about the technology issues,
Now it always
but I
happens.
will.
Always blame the
I'll,
technology
yeah, and the dogs.
and the dogs. It's a new one. Always
Yeah.
blame the technology and the dogs. I like that.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Is it 9? 8 o'clock here.
All
So
right.
thank you so much for having me. It's always been fun joining these calls. You
Thank
should
you for
join my
staying late.
CISO calls as well.
I
It's
will
on every
send me the
Tuesday.
invite.
There's one tomorrow happening,
All right. I
and
promise I'll join.
yeah, it's at I think it's 4:30 UK time. We're talking about public speaking and leadership with Helen, Rabe, and Nisa, Dija, and myself. So 4 of us. So yeah, I invite you all to join. It's open. And
I'll definitely join, and I'll please share and tag me along so I can reshare the invite. So,
sure. Okay then.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
so
much. Thanks
much,
for listening.
and enjoy the hot weather.
And great to 2020.
Good luck for the 2020.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Chani.
Bye.